The dining table had always been my mother's stage. Everything was arranged perfectly: the polished wood, the neatly folded napkins, the serving dishes placed just so. It wasn't about comfort. It was about control. Appearances mattered more than people in this house, and tonight was no different. I arrived 5 minutes early. Like always. Old habits die hard when you grow up learning that punctuality was the only way to avoid criticism. My sister was already there, scrolling on her phone, legs crossed, utterly relaxed. She didn't even look up when I entered. My mother glanced at the clock and smiled tightly. "Good. You're finally learning responsibility," she said, as if I were a child being trained. My father remained silent, eyes fixed on his plate. He always chose silence. It kept his hands clean. Dinner began normally. Small talk, weather, a comment about how expensive groceries had become. The calm before the storm felt deliberate, like my mother was letting the moment ripen. Then she cleared her throat. That single sound still echoes in my head. "So," she said casually, lifting her glass of water, "we've decided that your sister will be moving in with you next month." The sentence landed gently, too gently, like it wasn't a command disguised as an announcement. I blinked. Once, twice. "I'm sorry, what?" My sister finally looked up, smirking. She already knew. Of course she did. My mother continued, unfazed. "It makes sense. You have the space. And she's going through a lot right now. A lot." She was always going through a lot. I felt something shift inside my chest, not anger yet, but recognition. This was the same pattern I'd lived my entire life. Decisions made without me. My life treated like a spare room anyone could move into. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said carefully. "I live alone for a reason." The room went still. My mother slowly set her glass down. "What do you mean?" "It's not a good idea." I said, choosing every word like it might explode. "I'm not comfortable with that. I pay my own rent. I work long hours. I need my space." My sister scoffed loudly. "Wow, listen to you." My mother's eyes hardened. "You're being selfish." There it was. "I'm setting a boundary," I replied quietly. The word boundary was poison to her. She stood up so suddenly her chair scraped against the floor. "After everything we've done for you?" she shouted. "This is how you repay us?" My heart pounded, but I didn't raise my voice. "I'm not saying she can't stay anywhere. I'm saying she can't stay with me." That's when it happened. Her hand moved faster than my brain could register. The slap echoed through the room, sharp, loud, humiliating. My head snapped to the side, cheek burning, ears ringing. For a second, I tasted blood. "You ungrateful brat," she screamed. "We raised you. You owe us." My sister gasped dramatically, hand flying to her mouth, eyes sparkling with something that looked suspiciously like delight. My father still didn't move. I stood there, stunned, not because she hit me, but because some small, foolish part of me had hoped she wouldn't. I touched my cheek slowly. Then I looked at her. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't defend myself. I said nothing. That silence unsettled her more than any argument ever could. I picked up my jacket from the back of the chair. "Where do you think you're going?" my mother demanded. I didn't answer. "You walk out that door," she yelled after me, "and don't bother coming back." I paused for just a moment, hand on the handle, not to hesitate but to memorize the feeling. The weight of years pressing down, the clarity finally breaking through the fog. Then I opened the door and stepped outside. The night air hit my face, cold and sharp, grounding me. My chest rose and fell like I'd been underwater and finally surfaced. And then the screaming started. Not the controlled rage from inside. This was different. Panicked, shrill, unraveling. "Wait, stop. Come back." I froze. Her voice cracked as if something had suddenly dawned on her. Something important. Something she hadn't planned for. I didn't turn around. Behind me, through the open door, chaos erupted, my sister shouting questions, my father's chair scraping back, my mother's voice climbing higher and higher. "You can't just leave. You don't understand." But I did, for the first time in my life. I understood perfectly, because my mother didn't scream like that when she lost control. She screamed like that when she realized she'd lost leverage. I walked down the steps slowly, heart racing, hands shaking not with fear, but with adrenaline, with something dangerously close to freedom. And as I reached the sidewalk, her screams followed me into the night, ragged, desperate, afraid. Whatever she had just realized, whatever she was about to lose, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. This wasn't the end of the story. This was the moment everything began to fall apart. I didn't go far. I walked 3 blocks, sat on a cold bus stop bench, and let my hands stop shaking. The night hummed around me, cars passing, a dog barking somewhere, the city breathing like nothing monumental had just happened inside that house. My mother was screaming like the world had ended. That should have felt like victory. It didn't. It felt like confirmation. My phone buzzed once, then again, then again. I didn't look at it because I already knew people like my mother don't panic when they lose control of people. They panic when they lose control of systems. And I was a system. 3 years earlier, when I first moved into my apartment, my parents hadn't congratulated me. They'd insisted, "It makes sense." My mother had said, "You're responsible, organized, good with money." What she hadn't said was this: my name was on things it shouldn't have been: electricity, internet, water, insurance, policies, subscription accounts, auto payments, emergency contacts, anything that required reliability, anything that needed someone who wouldn't forget, wouldn't overspend, wouldn't throw a tantrum. That was me, not because they trusted me, but because they used me. I was the quiet backbone of a house that ran on denial and favoritism. And tonight, at that dinner table, my mother had finally overplayed her hand, because moving my sister in wasn't about helping her, it was about replacing me. I went home to my home. The moment I closed the door behind me, the silence wrapped around me like armor. I sat on the couch, took a deep breath, and opened my phone. 23 missed calls, 5 voicemails, messages from numbers I hadn't saved anymore. I opened the first voicemail. Her voice was different. Not angry. Not commanding. Afraid. "Listen, we need to talk. You can't just leave like this." The second message came 10 minutes later. "The power company says there's an issue. Did you change something?" I didn't reply. I opened my laptop instead. One by one, calmly, carefully, I logged into accounts they'd never bothered to understand, only depend on. I didn't shut anything off. I simply removed myself, changed contact emails, updated authentication, removed my phone number, transferred responsibility. Nothing dramatic, nothing illegal, just accuracy. By the time I was done, every system reflected the truth. I no longer lived there. I was no longer responsible. I was no longer available. It came at 11:47 p.m. I answered. "Why is the power off?" my mother demanded, breathless. I waited a second before responding. "I don't know," I said calmly. "Did you pay the bill?" Silence, then panic, leaking through her voice like water through cracked glass. "You handled that." "I used to," I replied. "I moved out." "You can't just..." She stopped herself, then softened her tone artificially. "Come home. We'll talk. We'll fix this." I smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was clear. "I didn't break anything," I said. "I just stopped holding it together." In the background, I could hear my sister shouting. "What do you mean it's off? Fix it." My mother covered the phone, yelling back, then returned to me, her voice shaking now. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said. "I'm being accurate. The power outage was only the beginning. The next morning, the internet went down, then the water billing issue. Then, the insurance company called asking why the primary contact no longer matched the residence. Then my father's work phone started ringing, because the helpful reminders I used to send, gone. The organized files, gone. The calm, quiet adult in the room, gone. By day 3, My sister had locked herself in her room, furious that no one was fixing things fast enough. By day 5, my father missed a payment deadline. By day 7, my mother stopped yelling and started begging. I agreed to meet her once. Public place. My terms. She looked smaller than I remembered, older, fractured. I don't understand why you're doing this, she said, eyes glossy. I'm not doing anything, I replied. I stopped doing everything. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, because deep down, she knew. You slapped me, I said quietly. Because I said no, her eyes flickered. And the moment I left, I continued, you panicked not because you lost your child, but because you lost control. She didn't deny it. That was answer enough. The real twist: my sister never moved in with me. Instead, she moved back into my parents' house full time, without me there to buffer her chaos, without me to absorb blame, without me to make her look delicate by comparison. Within a month, they were fighting daily. Within 2, my father started staying late at work. Within 3, the house that once revolved around her began to crack under her weight. And me? I thrived, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. One evening, months later, my phone buzzed again. A message from my mother. We made mistakes. I stared at it for a long moment. Then, I typed back. I didn't leave to punish you. I left to save myself. And I blocked the number, because the greatest revenge wasn't chaos, it was clarity. I wasn't ungrateful. I wasn't selfish. I wasn't weak. I was the structure. And when I walked away, everything they built on my silence collapsed.